Chapter 13, Random Film. Let's get into Chappaquiddick from 2017. This one is directed by John Curran. Sorry if I'm saying that name wrong. Stars Jason Clarke, who I really like, Kate Mara, who I really like, Ed Helms, Bruce Dern, Jim Gaffigan, Olivia Thirlby. And the synopsis is depicting Ted Kennedy's involvement in the fatal 1969 car accident that claims the life of a young campaign strategist, Mary Jo Kopechne. Going into this, and still now, I really am fascinated by the Kennedy family, as tragic as it is. And I think that's why a lot of people are interested in it, because there's so much, as I said, tragedy in that family, especially in the 60s, both with JFK, with RFK, and then with this situation with Ted Kennedy, which I knew nothing about going in. And to give you a little bit more background, and I don't know exactly what has been dramatized or changed, but the overall story in this is Ted Kennedy was in a car accident. He was driving, and that strategist that's mentioned in the synopsis actually drowned, and he didn't report the accident for about 10 hours, from what I understand, and basically got away scot-free due to a number of reasons, which that leads me to the main point of the movie is it does a fairly decent job of showing how politicians, people in government with a lot of power, a lot of political power, wealth, can, through connections, through whatever else, can get away scot-free in the worst sorts of situations, as Ted Kennedy did to at least a certain degree, even though obviously we know about this story now and it did tarnish his reputation for a while. It was largely swept under the rug. And I think that's a pretty, still sadly relevant idea when it comes to people of power and people in politics. And Jason Clarke, who he really has grown as an actor. I think I was talking about him recently with something else, but he has really grown as an actor. He's done such a wide variety of roles. Some people hate on him. I love him, really. I don't think he's to the levels of maybe the absolute top tier A-list actors, but he's a pretty great character actor and has become a pretty great leading man too. So I think he's excellent in this as Ted Kennedy. Kate Mara, very underrated, doesn't always pick the best projects, but I really, really like her in this. She's just not in the movie enough. It is one of those stories that most people, when you think of the Kennedys, think of JFK first and then RFK and Jackie Kennedy. So this is one that's sort of the third on the list of sorts. And I guess I can see that, but still very worth learning about, because I was very curious about this one when I heard it was about the Kennedys. And so if you are interested in that family, in that period, in political scandals or anything along those lines, it is worth checking out and learning about. I would be curious to read books about the situation. I guess one other thing that, not to say that how they presented this movie was bad, but I kind of would be curious to see, despite her dying, a movie presented from Mary Jo's perspective, in terms of we're only seeing it from his perspective. Obviously, he's the one who survived, and yet it would be kind of curious to see that kind of timeline through her eyes, at least partly, because it's mostly just on Ted Kennedy. And that's all right. I understand it. It's logical. But yet it would be kind of cool to see and enlightening to see something from her side as much as it could in terms of realism, because she obviously did die. Other than that, good performances. It looks quite good. I really like the setting and the location up north. Not one of the best Kennedy movies. Like I would watch JFK, the Oliver Stone movie. I would watch Jackie, the Natalie Portman film. That one is amazing. Probably my favorite out of any of them. There's a good show called The Kennedys with Greg Kinnear and Barry Pepper. That's awesome. So there's a lot of great content out there. Definitely some duds for sure. This one is somewhere in the middle. It's passable. I like it. Like I would watch it again. I've seen it 2 times at this point, and I do like it. It is worth watching. Just not an amazing movie, not one that blows me away and doesn't go into things as deeply as it could, but it still does present a very sort of unsettling perspective on how politicians work and what they'll do and how carefree they can be in terms of presenting and protecting their image and just throwing other people away, no matter their relationship to them or anything like that. So it is a good cautionary tale of sorts. That one is a 3.5 out of 5.